This screencast is to show an Educannon video that I created. As a health teacher, we cover the body systems. So I found a lesson about the brain, and it talks about the different structures and functions that go on with inside the brain. This could also be a great video to use in a science class that is also talking about the body systems. So here we're going to begin, and there are questions throughout the video where students will have to answer to show that they're comprehending what is being taught in the video.
Hi, it's Mr. Anderson, and in this video I'm going to talk about the brain, structure and function. Remember, structure is what it's made up of, and function is what does it do. We sometimes refer to this as the anatomy or structure and the physiology or the function. And so
now that we just got to this orange bar here, this means that there's a question available. So I'm going to click on the orange bar, and it's going to take us to a question. What is another term for structure and function? And as we were told in the video, the correct term for this is anatomy and physiology. I'm going to click that, the thumbs up sign, and it tells us that it's correct. So now we're going to hit the green arrow to let us go on with the video.
And so the cool thing is that we're going to go through 17 different structures in the brain, kind of lay out the basic plan of the brain, but you're using your brain to process it. And if you do a good job when we get to the end and I review all the parts, you should be able to tell me what their structure is and what their function is. And so what type of organisms have brains? It's the animals. Animals use nerves, they have muscles to move around, and so they have to organize that movement, and so they use a brain. And so if we look at the two basic body plans of animals, some are radially symmetrical, in other words, they're built around almost a tire, and then some are bilaterally symmetrical. In other words, a tiger, you could draw a line right down the middle. There's going to be a clear right side and a left side. There's going to be a clear front and end. And as we became bilaterally symmetrical, we had to organize that movement. So this is a simple animal body plan. And so this animal is going to move towards the right, and as it does so, it has to take in information. We call that sensory information using neurons. And so right now you're taking in sensory information from your eye.
I'm going to pause the video again because we're now at another orange bar. I'm going to click here. And the question, what are the different body plans of all animals? Check all that apply. Another thing that I love about this program is that it gives you a variety of types of questions. So before we had a multiple choice, here we have a multiple answer question. So we were told how they were radial, right and left. They can be split down the middle. And let's answer that. But we also missed bilateral, so it'll tell us that we missed this question. And we're going to go on next.
Eyes, from your ears, and then inside your brain you're going to integrate that information. You're going to make sense of it, and then you're going to figure out what you want to do, how you're going to act dependent upon that. And so then we have this loop of motor neurons out, or motor nerves. And so this loop in simple animals is also important in understanding how our brain works. But if we look at these real primitive brain, we find that they have a real common structure. They have these four humps, and we call...
I'm going to pause the video again because we're up to another question. Which of the following is not a type of nerve discussed during the video? Here we were just talking about with the worm, with our motor nerves, along with our sensory nerves. So sciatic would be the incorrect nerve that we discussed. And would be the correct answer. And we will continue.
And we call those the first one's not a hump, but the spinal cord. We then have the hindbrain, the midbrain, and then we finally have the forebrain. And we find this consistent throughout all animals. And if we look at something like a shark, it pretty much looks just like that primitive brain. You can see down here we've got the spinal cord, that's bringing information in. We then have the hindbrain, the midbrain, and the forebrain. And so one thing you should remember is that the closer we are to that spinal cord, the more basic the functions are. And so we're right.
And that is the end of the video. The video itself is 13 minutes long, but with Educannon, which is great, is that you can crop the video and make it as long as you want. So for this video, we made it 2 minutes and 18 seconds. We were able to get 3 questions in, just make sure that the students understand what they were watching and listening to. I think this is a great tool for teachers to use. It can be used for all ages. There's a variety of questions. You can have more in-depth responses where it's written, or you can have multiple choice true false for questions that aren't higher order thinking. I would recommend this to teachers, and I'm going to continue to find videos that I can use in my classroom. Thank you.